Welcome to the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast, where business owners, thought leaders, and community champions from across Central Illinois come to share their story. The Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast. Anything less would be uncivilized.
What's up, Central Illinois? I'm Derek Hayden. I'm here with Garrett Ulmer. We are your hosts for the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast, powered by Zambu. Zambu is a delicious grapefruit or wildberry vodka-based spirit infused with a Brazilian buzz button. It's smooth, tasty, and leaves you with a signature tingle. Learn more at ZambuLiquors.com. Zambu, taste the tingle. All right, Central Illinois, let's introduce today's guest. Today's guest is the owner and expert motivator of YourSocialMediaSherpa.com and is going to teach us how to be unforgettable to our network in 100 days. Ladies and gents of Central Illinois, please welcome Shaily Hakimian. How you doing, Shaily?
So good. Excited to be here and to have this Illinois connection as part of the show.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you being here with us.
Yep.
Same.
We're pumped to listen to your expertise, which obviously social media Sherpa, we have an idea of what's going to happen here. So we're probably going to talk a little bit about social media. But before we do, Shaily, I'm going to kick it to Garrett and we're going to take you through our speed round to get to know you a little bit better.
I'm ready for it.
Okay. Yeah. Before we jumped on here, we know that you have now prepared. So let's see how this goes. Okay.
I prepared one of the questions for sure, but let's do it.
All right. First question. What was the first concert you ever attended?
Oh man. It might have been Britney Spears. I love her. She's great.
Gotcha.
That's awesome.
I don't think we've had Britney Spears yet. So
nope.
Bam,
That's awesome though.
Perfect. What's your favorite movie?
Miss Congeniality.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
I like Oreo ice cream stuff that is delicious. Oreo cookies and cream. It's been my current favorite.
Gotcha. That's your go-to right now.
Yeah.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone. I think there's a gender balance because like my boyfriend's family, all the ladies have iPhones and all the men have Androids, and it's very weird.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. There you
I
go.
don't know if that's real. It's a guess.
I'm an iPhone too.
Let's shatter stereotypes.
We both have iPhones, so and everyone in my family.
People.
There you go. So, favorite social media platform?
LinkedIn is fantastic for my business. I will say I was heavily addicted to TikTok, and until the beginning of May, where I actively tried to stop going on it unless I had a client on it, I would just look at their videos. So I've somehow barely gone on TikTok in 2 months. So I don't know how I did that. But LinkedIn is my jam. And when Periscope was great, I loved it, but now that's gone. So
Gotcha.
We're LinkedIn fans too, and I have never heard of Periscope, to be honest with you.
I haven't.
it's what Twitter
Periscope?
bought. Twitter bought them to be live streaming. So originally they launched.
Gotcha.
They were a live streaming platform. Twitter was like, "Oh, we're behind the 8 ball on this." They bought them, and then it fizzled out. But I think they use the technology for Twitter Live. So
Awesome.
Gotcha.
that's what it is.
Last but not least, now I know you've prepped a little bit for this question. You're from the greater Chicagoland area, but we got to ask, why Central Illinois?
So let me tell you this. I have had the best times in Central Illinois. So I have a friend who lives in Macomb. Is it Macomb? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
So we drove down there a few years ago. We have a weird hobby. And maybe I don't know how widely people talk in Central Illinois. We play a version of the show Survivor in the woods, like in real life.
Okay.
So I saw your faces, right? So I drove down there, and this lady Jordan, who I've known for years, like she hosted on her property. She has a big plot of land. It's not something we can do here in Chicago, but we would camp there and we played competitions and strategized, and it eventually I think raised some funds for an area charity. So that's one thing I love about Southern Illinois. The other thing, how do we feel about Peoria here? Because have you seen Angie on TikTok from Peoria? So this lady, she's brilliant. She's a young lady, and her whole mission is to get people to move to Peoria because she thinks it's going to be this like liberal palace where people can afford to buy a house for 50 grand that's decent and like build a community together. She's gotten more than 100 people to move because of her TikTok accounts.
Holy
I'm like,
cow.
Gloria needs to
Wow.
fund this one. And she's like, no, this is my passion project. I love my city, all that stuff. So I've been like obsessed with her, and I found out I have some mutual friends with her, and she's retweeted or TikToked me over the years. She's super cool. So I am becoming a very solid fan of the outside Chicagoland parts of Illinois.
Gotcha.
There you go.
Oh,
I
that's
have
great.
never heard of the Survivor thing in Macomb.
I have
Yeah.
not either.
That's intriguing. So did you win Survivor?
I know, but I tried. But I love it. It's a fun hobby that I have. There's a full 6-minute YouTube video where I explain how this hobby thing works, but I've done many games like this. It is my fun, weird, cool hobby thing, and that accidentally actually helped me start my business. So yeah, so that's Southern Illinois Adventures or Central Illinois Adventures.
There you go.
There you
I
go.
like it. I like
Yes.
it.
Yeah,
That
see,
is a
I
unique
surprised
story.
you, right?
We have not heard that story before. So
There you
Yep.
go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah. Well, thanks for sharing, Shaily. So before we start asking you business questions,
Oh yeah.
tell us a little bit about your business, how you started, how you got to where you are now, and just tell us a little bit about what you do.
Ooh. So I'll tell you, I told you this Survivor thing connects to how I started my business. So when I was, I don't know, 2005, 2006-ish, MySpace. Remember MySpace?
Oh,
It
yeah.
was life for me. It was everything. And so for me, I was like a bullied, teased kid. I didn't really have a lot of friends in middle school. When I got to high school and MySpace was like building up, like the 2000s, I found a bunch of nerds that liked the same things that I did, which is watching Big Brother and Survivor. So we had a community in there, and I saw that somebody was like, hey, we play online Big Brother and Survivor. You're probably confused. You're like, what? There's more weird things? I'm like, yes, weird hobby communities you've never heard of before. And so I would play one, and I didn't realize it was a whole community of people who do this ongoing. I thought it was just like one thing, and it was a whole world that opened up to me. But I realized we didn't really have a central hub for our community. So me, the 16-year-old or 15-year-old, however old I was like, let me create a MySpace group for our little weird hobby community. And so I did that, and I featured new people every week. I posted fun topics every week, all of this stuff. And it was lovely. And I made friends beyond friends that we would fly to see each other all the time. So fast forward, I graduated high school, I graduated college. Time has gone by since I was very deep into this addicting hobby. And I'm applying for a job at a digital marketing agency here in Chicago. And they were like, hey, Shaily, have you ever managed online communities before? It's a very social media thing, right? Making sure people are engaged, all that stuff. And I was like, why does it feel like something I would do? So being the wise and awkward 20-something at that time, I was like, let me vague up what I did on MySpace as social media management skills and as community management skills. So that's literally what I did. I managed a community as a teenager. So I wrote managed a community of competitive people, and so I've made it really vague, but I ended up getting the job, and that was my first paid social media job. So that was one thing about part of this crazy journey. The other thing is, I imagine some of your listeners are in BNI groups. Is that right?
Oh yeah, there's a handful of them. Yep.
So I was going to a BNI group trying to promote my social media businesses. At that point, I was managing social media. I had gone to freelancing, right? And I was like, hire me for this, hire me for that, whatever. And people weren't ready to pay the thousands of dollars it was to hire me every month to do their social media. So I was in this BNI group a bunch. And this lady came up to me. She's like, Shaily, I don't think I can hire you to do social media. But can I pay you to teach me how to do Instagram? And I was like, I love working one-on-one with people. I studied education in college at Indiana University, by the way.
Okay.
So I love teaching people. I love motivating people. I love talking about social media, and I love strategizing, which is very Survivor, actually, now that I think about it. And so she paid me to teach her social media. And I was like, oh, I kind of like this. And then I got another client from that group. And then things started snowballing to where the majority of my income, and now pretty much all my income, is coming from doing this exact thing, is helping people really understand how their business efforts relate to what they can do on the internet, especially even people who are terrified of the internet. It's when they realize that it's the same thing as they've been doing in real life, face to face, that happens on the internet. It's like the world opens up to them. And that's a big piece of what I do. I bridge what they know from the real world to what they can do online. I don't make them have to pray that it's going to just work out for them, which a lot of social media people do. Just post and it'll be fine. I'm like, no. You got to get your people there. When you feed your people, good things happen. So that's where you get to yoursocialmediasherpa.com. Bing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
So-
my story.
you were able to take an idea and it spun into a different idea. So you're going to do social media management, but then you ended
I've
up
done
teaching people how to manage
Yep.
their own social media.
Yes.
Yes, teaching them. And I love the best, most success you can get is if you already have a social media manager and I come into the picture, then you can really win. I'm not competing with the social media manager. I'm here to enhance what they can do for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, my favorite when they already have one.
Very nice. So your tagline, be unforgettable to your network in 100 days. That's a good place to start. So how do you, and I know our listeners just kind of, if they're lit in the car, they leaned a little closer to their speakers to catch this one. So how do you become unforgettable to your network in 100 days? Don't give away your secret sauce, but the concept of, becoming unforgettable in 100 days.
I can tell you everything I teach every client, and I give you the overview, right? For them to implement, it maybe takes a little bit of legwork. But let's say your contacts, I imagine they're very well connected in person with their local community. They're interactive. Maybe they're the realtor that everyone knows that goes to all the PTO meetings, whatever, right? They know everybody, right? And you can say that maybe you'll bump into them at an event or another community group, and you hope that they keep seeing you, right? But if they don't see you for 6 months and you were their best realtor and they forgot you exist, they're going to refer that lead they got from a friend to someone else. So the simple idea is if you have, let's say 200 or 1,000, whatever, a bunch of people that trust you, they have a relationship, they know you both, they adore you. You got to feed them with insights about your world that they don't know. So for example, let's say insurance, right? That's a big topic, right? What do they not know about insurance? Okay. Like here's why fire needs to be covered, or here's why you need to buy separate flood insurance. I'm making this up, right? These are things I don't understand, right? But if you had a blog,
you sound like you're licensed.
What?
You sound like you've got your insurance license. You're good.
That's funny. That's really funny. I had a client that was a big insurance company actually here in Chicago. So that was kind of fun.
Nice.
So I learned a little bit working with them too. But I told them this, I was like, let's use them as an example. I told them, you have to give the answers to the questions that your people don't know, because then you become the source of expertise for them. And theoretically, if you're a traditional business owner who's never done anything on the internet, you're all by phone, you're doing this every time you call and pick up the phone to a person, you're educating them. But imagine if all of that education happened, if it's for you, it's on Twitter, or it's on text message, or it's by cards. If you're training them on the things they don't understand about your industry, you become their trusted expert. And that's worked for centuries, right? But social media is another tool to do that, right? So it's one of the tools. For some of my clients, I say don't do it. Some of my clients, it's postcards. For some of my clients, maybe it's going to be Twitter. One of my clients, Twitter makes sense. But it's matching the right eyeballs to the right information that's going to educate your people on the info they didn't know they needed. Because then you become the trusted person. And that has worked forever. Let's do it on the internet. That's where they bring me in to help them facilitate that whole thing.
Very nice.
Yes.
So now let's say I'm a business owner.
Yes.
And I need some help on social media.
Yes.
Do you have most business owners have an ideal client, right? Do you have an ideal client? Is there a certain size of business? Does it have to have so many employees? Too many employees? What does your ideal client look like? Do you search out for them at this point? Are you on a referral basis? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I am what we call inbound marketing. I hate using marketing terms, where people come to me. I show up, I exist. People are like, oh, Shaily, I need you. Let's talk. And then we do it, which is why I've gotten the craziest range of customers, from Indian matchmaker to rabbi turned sleep consultant to cabaret performers to multiple corporate magicians. I've had the range of skills, and maybe I'm the catch-all for everybody who doesn't feel like they see themselves in the landscape. Actually, if you really want to see it, it's on here. You want to see? Can I show it? Oh no, I can't share screen. But there's a page on my website where I have everybody in there, and it's wild. So, what'd you say?
I'm going to try to give you here. All participants can share.
Look at that. Okay, so here's this. This is wild. These are all the industries at least represent one. I've had 3 realtors. I've had, I think, 2 or 3 photographers. I had a woman who was inspiring older women to be empowered in their golden years. Auto training school, thing. That was wild. He teaches people how to be auto repair mechanics and stuff like that. Stunning updates that he's made. Online chess programming, that's random. Beauty products. This is great.
Insurance
Therapy.
Agents.
There you go.
I did. I had a beautiful insurance agency. They had 18, maybe 20 people on their team. So that was fun.
Cool.
Authors. Yeah, I've had a few recruiters too.
So an extremely broad range.
It really is, but I would say they all have the same thing in common. The thread is that they're all connectors and they have the relationships. It is a lot harder for me to serve someone who's starting at 0, because if you have the 200 people that will, when they see Derek, they're like, oh, I want to jump in, then it's a lot easier to do that. And a lot of times people post a lot of boring content. So when I come in and I tweak it, it forces a conversation on them that they actually want to have, and it illuminates to them what your business is really like. And that's the missed opportunity see over and over and over again when it comes to what you can do on the internet.
So now, do you help them with, do you do any posting yourself, or are you just helping them create content?
I don't do the button pushing. That is
Sure.
for their team, or sometimes it's for them to do. But
Okay.
what I do is I help, like a lot of the biggest things that I do is the reason I have Expose and Amplify or Awesome is that people don't know what information to validate that they should put on the internet. I mean, I see boring profile after boring profile on LinkedIn, and it's just like, I do this generic thing. And I'm like, great. Like there's, 5 million bajillion, I don't know. There's probably a ton of insurance agents, right? There's tons of
Yeah.
them, right?
For sure.
And you're not just looking for any insurance agent. You want to know somebody who knows, maybe they work with these kinds of families, or they know this neighborhood, or they know the certain weather conditions. I'm making this up, right? Because this is what I know about the industry. They want somebody who gets them in their current situation. But if they don't see those aspects, they don't see that you also love basketball, or they don't see that you are, your kids are in the same softball team. Like if they don't see that, that makes it harder for them to bond with you. And it's so easy to just sprinkle that goodness on the internet so they can trust you, right? Because all you have other than that, if you're doing traditional ways, face-to-face or a video call where you're starting at zero, and that's way harder.
Yeah,
Sure.
My pet peeve, when I see other insurance agents on LinkedIn specifically, is their title of what they do is licensed insurance agent.
Boring.
I'm like,
Stop it.
You know what would probably get more attention? Unlicensed insurance agent.
Yes.
Like,
Ugh.
but you wouldn't want to work with them, but it would get a double take. But it's just because you want to be more specific with who you work with. And it doesn't, this isn't just the insurance industry. Like you said, Shaily, everybody has their niche prospect or ideal client, and licensed insurance agent does not spell that out at all.
Yeah. That differentiates us how much, Derek?
Zero. We live in a pretty small town, and there are 8 or 9 insurance agencies in our small town. 100% of the agents at all these agencies are licensed insurance agents.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that separates us from our competition. There's nothing that helps us connect to our ideal client, our future, ideal future client, I guess it is. So that's the one thing I see on LinkedIn. I'm like, licensed insurance professional. I'm like, that is great. Yeah. No wonder why people think insurance is boring.
No. And and we kind of try to take the perspective too, is what's the saying you have up on your wall there, Derek, that it says, be the media of what?
Oh, be a media company that happens to sell insurance.
Oh, that's a good line.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's very big, right? For a lot of your business owners, that might be that might be a very hard first step.
Yeah.
But brain dumping all your FAQs somewhere, at least as a starting point, might be a very easy first step than becoming a media company.
Absolutely.
Overnight. But it's not a bad goal, because
There
they
you
can
go.
get, I think I'll say this, other marketer people will jump the gun. They'll say, hey, be famous on YouTube, be famous at podcasting. But if you don't have all of these pieces put together, starting there is not going to get you what you want. It's like, oh, you didn't work hard enough to achieve whatever we sold you. And it's like, no, it's like I want people to start where they are. And I think a lot of people try to sell people where they like a little bit too far down the line where they're not actually capable of succeeding. And I think that's a great example of it, right? Like, is that correct? Yes. Are they ready to do that tomorrow? Potentially not. You both are, because you do this all the time.
Sure.
But your industry, probably I imagine most of the people who are doing insurance in your neighborhood are not this sophisticated when it comes to technology.
Well, to me, building a marketing plan is much like building a house, right? You've got to start with a foundation. Once you start with the foundation, you got to put up your walls. Once you get the walls, you got to get your roof. Once you get the roof, then you can start building the interior. I mean, it's a whole foundation that, that you've got to build. And like you said, you can't put the roof on until you've got the walls, and you can't go backwards with it. And I agree. I feel like some people are extremely scared. They jump in before they've even thrown the foundation together. And, that's where they need somebody like you that's got the expertise to start with the foundation and build from there.
Yeah,
exactly. Yep. I don't want them guessing, right? There's so many people who was it spray and pray or something they say, where they're like shiny object syndrome, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So real, but it's like, one of the biggest things I see is like, yeah, you might post something, or maybe you'll get a little bit of press, but like if you don't have anywhere to capture people and to hold on to them, which is, I heard this on another show of yours, because this was a very good advice that they said, you own emails forever. If you don't have a way to capture their emails potentially, and your platform kicks you off tomorrow, or like the algorithm changes on TikTok or whatever, you're in trouble, right? I told you at the beginning of the show, a lot of what I teach is not platform dependent, is that if you have the best 200 people that are going to help your business forever, and you have a way of contacting them that, if the internet goes away, you're still okay. They still love and trust you. But if you have no way of contacting them and you go mega viral on TikTok and you have 400,000 followers and the algorithm only shows your video to 100 people, you've lost that attention basically forever. So guiding, I think that was actually the tip I gave to the insurance company. What I do is I do a video review where I look to see how well you're engaging your people on the internet. And I look at everything, look at your Google, look at your Facebook, look at your LinkedIn, look at places you didn't even know existed on the internet. And I realized they had no way to capture people on their homepage. Actually, I saw this with a couple clients. So before you even do too much on social media, make sure you have a capture form that tells people that you're going to get really good insurance tips. And make sure you tell them what you know about insurance that's going to make you have a unique angle, right?
Yep.
So huge difference for them.
For sure.
And people like their emails now. They actually open them. They actually want to read what's going on because they're learning something, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Huge.
So you mentioned LinkedIn being typically your favorite platform. So what is the easiest way or easiest thing that business owners can do to stand out on LinkedIn, do you feel?
Okay, if you're going to do one dumb, easy thing, is maybe update your headline to not be the boring things we described earlier. Make it specific. Boom. That is one simple thing that'll make it so much easier. When you're looking people up before you talk to them on a show or before you want to prospect them or whatever, you want to see who they are. And if you don't know who the heck they are, that's a missed opportunity. I always tell this goes for business owners, but also goes to people looking for a job, is that it's like a free interview that you have before you ever meet somebody. Is that they're going to look you up? Y'all look me up. I saw on LinkedIn, y'all look, of course. You have so much more context to look up, right? You have more to choose from. You probably feel a lot more connected to me because of how much detail I put into like the internet, right? If you want to watch me on the internet for more than 60 hours, there's probably footage in weird places that you could watch for days. So like, if you want to know what my deal is, it's there. Ideally you curate it or whatever, but that helps, right? Is that you might have a great story that you tell clients when you're prospecting them, but you never share it. That could be on your profile. That could be a content. That could be on your website, right? But the headline is an easy way to start.
Perfect.
And y'all have good photos on your profiles. I like the photos, like the thing on the photos and the banner images are not too bad either. It's very specific.
That was courtesy of Canva.
Yes.
Do you use Canva?
I actually just taught a client how to use it 2 days ago.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Like,
I use it for
utilize it I utilize it probably almost every day. I feel like I'm doing something on there with it to create, some type of marketing piece or, something for a client. Yeah, we utilize it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Ooh, exactly. There you go. Nice. I love that. We
get fancy. The CIBL podcast can get fancy every now and then. So, so when you work with businesses, we saw the lineup of industries and types of businesses you work with. At what point would a business owner know or, feel like they could hire a social media manager or social media trainer like yourself?
Ooh, so this actually goes to another resource I have online. Is I explain to you, like, first off, what does it cost to hire a social media consultant? But also, what are your other options and how much do those cost, right? Because you can hire an agency, you could hire a freelancer, you could hire someone like me, you can hire a speaker to come in and mobilize your community. And they're all very, very different. And they're really handy for different kinds of people, right? The insurance company, the lady I worked with wasn't a social media manager. She was like an assistant that happened to do social media. She's an admin worker, right? So for her, she might not necessarily understand the ins and outs of social media, but she's really good at writing and she's good at doing administrative tasks. So sometimes the leadership has to give her those insights, right? So if you don't have that prepared, you might not get the most out of that person, right? So people who come to me, they're usually in a place where they know social media is already important. They want to do it, but they don't always get it. And they potentially they know that they're like, I have a guy right now who's got a killer LinkedIn network of people, literally only his ideal clients, like so many people that could hire him, right? But his content is just like, here, look at me do things, or here's where I am today. And I'm like, stop it. Tell me like the tips for the people that need to pay you and why they're not doing a great job now. Tell me the things that other people like them are doing well. Tell them like what the difference you make when you serve them. Like there's so much more insights that are not coming out of the content. So for those people, that's where I can reshape what they didn't even know they should be putting out to the world. And once the light bulb goes off, usually I do a video review and the light bulb starts to go off. That's when they're like become really, really empowered and they really understand the power that these tools have. Sure. So that's when you hire the Sherpa. So those are the moments, right? I want to get this. How do I do it?
Yeah.
And then we do it together.
Sure. Well, and I'm sure a question that you ask is, what's their end goal too, right?
Sure.
I mean, because, you hear a lot of times, people buy marketing because they want more leads or they want, the ideal client. The problem is not every business can handle the type of lead that maybe they're asking for because they haven't identified what their ideal client or ideal prospect is, So
well, that makes everything a million times harder. So a lot of my people, they have that question. Well, a lot of people have that question, but a weird subset of my clients have turned into people who are doing like passion projects, which is really, it took me by surprise. So I told them, I'm like, the easiest people that I can help are the people who already have a network and they're starting from scratch. I'm like, this is going to take a lot longer for you to be successful if you want something that's going to be meaningful and sustainable. And that's a very tricky dynamic. So
I think that's where you come in and you help them identify what they're truly trying to gain, right?
Yep. And I also help them understand what their desires are, right? Like I have an author right now. He drove his bike from California to Florida.
Oh my gosh.
In 4 months, like insane, right? And like he could say, oh yeah, I want people to buy this book. But I'm like, wait, there's a story there. Like, what is the mission that you want these people to do? And it's like, I want to inspire them to take the leap and doing something that scares them. And I'm like, well, that's very different than like, hey, I biked, listen to my story.
Yeah.
Right. When you can highlight that, right, it makes it easier for him to convey. When I first started working together, this happens to a lot of my clients. They're like, oh no, I'm scared. I don't want to put that out. I don't want to bother people. I don't want to post anything to my personal website. And like he now posts occasionally to his personal Facebook and he's a lot less scared and people are way more supportive than he ever imagined.
Sure.
Right. I had one client who did a survey. This is another passion project, right? He did a survey to his Twitter network that he was like, oh, these people are not doing anything about his social media platform that he wants to launch. And he got a bunch of replies that he wasn't expecting. And I was like, wow, see, look, people are willing to help. And he got conversations started that he never imagined, right? Because when you show up in a way that makes it easy for people to see, and I heard this on another podcast of yours, you figure out what's in it for me, then people are more willing to jump in, right? If you make, this goes honestly for any social media or any video you put out, any text, the more you put the juice to the top and say, this is why you should listen to this episode, or this is why you should listen to this tweet, the easier it is for them to be like, yes, I want to. And actually, you guys do that really well. A lot of podcasts I do don't have that in their titles, and y'all very clearly name what's inside.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. We try to get creative if we can.
I like it. The horses and divorces. Come on, that's great. You found a little voice.
I'm telling you, this gal, we asked her, like, are you gonna like try to get that trademark? She's like, I don't know. I was like, you should.
Yes, it was
like,
killer.
That's got a ring to it that, more than, saying I'm an attorney, horses and divorces. That's like, it gets people to ask, well, what's that mean?
Right?
Gets them to ask the question, which lures them in.
Do you have an event where you have a horse and you can touch the horse and while learning about her divorce? I don't know. Like you could do so many things with that.
There you go.
I had LinkedIn and lattes as an event, and that was really fun. Somebody gave me that title.
Yeah.
I was like, let's do it. We did it in person pre-COVID and it was lovely.
Awesome.
Speaking of lattes, we got a brand new coffee shop in town.
Ooh, tell us.
This has nothing to do with the podcast or anything, but I want to tell a story. So was it yesterday or the day before, Garrett? Wednesday or
yesterday?
So yesterday I was like, I'll go pick up a cup of coffee for, some people at the office. And I got up there and they had one called the Red Eye, which is their typical house blend coffee with a shot of espresso. I just drink regular, black coffee. Don't think much of it. I was like, let's get a little crazy. So I got one for Garrett and I, a Red Eye with a shot of espresso. And we were both sweating before noon, like in our office, like shaking, like sweating.
I walked down to him and I'm like, I don't know how you feel right now, but I feel like I could run through this brick wall and I wouldn't feel it. I mean, it was crazy how intense it was.
No.
Yeah. I was sweating through my shirt. My forehead I was like, this wasn't good. I need to stick to my regular coffee. So anyway, that's what the lattes made me think of. So I had to tell you.
What is it? What is it? Is it just like a monster, but like from a coffee shop?
I'd say
it's coffee with more caffeine added, basically.
Yeah.
So
it was
stuff we didn't need.
Super. No, I'm a pretty energized individual most of the time anyways, but I was like, holy cow, this is making me wanting to just, go nuts. It was crazy.
Oh, God. Well, I love matcha. If you want a coffee alternative, matcha is amazing.
Okay.
Milk and sugar.
Okay.
Delicious. Green tea powder is so good.
Awesome.
Nice. We'll check it out. I'm sure they've got it. They've got a pretty
Starbucks has it. They have their own
does.
blend of it, but it's I like the pure stuff.
Nice.
It's like my jug of choice. It's green tea powder.
Awesome. Well, Shaily, we are actually getting close to the 30-minute mark, which is great. You did an awesome job. Before we transition to the outro, what do you have one tip or idea to share with our listeners that might help them get started in the right direction on their social media journey?
Oof.
I know I'm putting you on the spot.
I'll boil this down. No, this is good. I'll boil this down. If you could brain dump the things that people ask you all the time and just write it somewhere, just have it written down. That will serve as a basis for anything you do on the internet or even in a postcard, right? I had a guy that was a commercial real estate guy, and we were talking about social media stuff. And he's like, well, yeah, I just kind of want to send postcards to these kind of landlords so they can hire me. And I was like, yeah, but if you just say like a postcard, it's like, hey, hire me, like that's not great. But if you do the same exact thing and you put your tips and insights on that card and say, hey, want to read more, go to my website or call me or whatever, you've now just made someone educated and you gave them a direction of where to go. So get a brain dump of all the things that you might get asked. Then from there, you can figure out where to put it. Anything, just put it on a website, maybe put it in a Google Doc and then send it to people when they're, reaching out to hire you. Like that's like the dumbest, like stupid, easy first step that they can do.
I like
brain
it.
dump.
Yep.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah, I agree. That's at times we've kind of gotten away from this, Garrett and I, but we would have people in our office put a notepad next to their phone. And when we got a question that was asked more than twice or more than once, I guess, by a client or prospective client, like write that down. That's what we're going to produce a piece of content on. We're going to answer their question before they have the question. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine how much faster your sales calls are when they know exactly what you're about.
Yep. Exactly.
So much better.
Awesome. Well, Shaily, you have been a great guest and you've given me some ideas, and I'm sure our listeners some ideas. Absolutely. If they are interested in learning more and want to reach out to you, what's the best place to contact you? Tell us about your website, wherever you want people to reach you at.
Well, yoursocialmediasherpa.com is my site where you can get tons of blogs, link to my YouTube channel, access to my favorite collection of LinkedIn profiles to like help engage your people. So you can see, like, I literally showed it to someone live on a call and I saw their reaction when they opened it. They're like, oh, this is amazing. Like there's so many great examples to spark your idea. So that's like my, what do you call it? The freebie, the download, but then you get really, really easy social media tips in your inbox, like super stupid easy. So that's one way to go. And if you are like, this lady gets me, I want to understand how social media relates to my business goals, I do something, I call it a video review. I basically stalk you on the internet and I tell you what works, what doesn't, everywhere, like what you could add, what you could take away. By the end of it, you get a good idea of like what your next steps are, from like small, easy things to like bigger things. And you can run with it, or you work with me to help you implement it. That's the next later stage. So get a video review. It's a very easy way to start with me, and you will understand social media. And then I also have a social media closing quote, if I can share that.
Sure.
Okay. Yes.
Social media, and I didn't write this, by the way, social media is about the people, not about your business. Provide for the people, and the people will provide for you.
That's awesome.
Very nice.
Great.
Share value. The more value you give, the more you get.
That's right.
Amen to that. Yes.
I like it. Awesome. So all you listeners out there, make sure you're subscribing to the CIBL podcast on your favorite podcast platform. While you're listening, give us a quick review. It'd be greatly appreciated. You can also follow the CIBL podcast on social media pages, mainly LinkedIn, Facebook. You can also connect with Garrett and I personally on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and elsewhere. I'm sure you can find us anywhere. Until next time, Shaily, you have officially been civilized. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks so much. You have a great day.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/CIBL podcast. You can also follow us on LinkedIn. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It's the civilized thing to do.